Yo, what's going on YouTube? My name's Troy, and in this video, I'm gonna be showing you everything you need to know to successfully start botting with Stellar. I can guarantee that by the end of this video, you're gonna have a very high level understanding and you're gonna know exactly what you need to do to start hitting limited items. All I ask in return is that you drop a like on today's video. It really helps the channel out. And for anyone watching who doesn't know, I do run my own group where we provide one-on-one botting help. We post release guides, information, and alerts for every upcoming profitable release. And we also have a super fire community of like-minded members who are all on the same mission of making money and helping each other out. If you're interested in joining, you can do so for free right now with that first link down in the description below, and I hope to see you there. With all that being said, let's get into it. So as I was planning this video out, I was going through all of the tabs and all of the settings down to every last detail on Stellar, and I realized that for a beginner or for someone that's just starting out, you really don't need to be using most of these settings. So I decided that for this video, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna be going over the things that are 100% necessary to get you from knowing nothing about using this bot whatsoever all the way up until the point that you were able to successfully hit on your first drop. Hopefully you guys are cool with that. If you have any additional questions, feel free to drop them down in the comment section below. And Stellar also does have a ton of written guides that you can reference too, so I'll be leaving those linked down in the description below too. So the first section we're gonna start out with is going to be the settings tab right here. Believe it or not, the only section we're gonna have to be looking in is going to be this Discord tab right here. The first setting we're gonna be looking at is going to be the Discord webhook. Basically, all a webhook does is it's going to be sending you notifications on your Discord account whenever the bot has a successful purchase or a successful checkout. I'm going to quickly show you how to set up a Discord webhook. It's going to take 20 seconds. Once you're on your Discord account, all you're going to want to do is click this plus icon, which is going to be to add a new server. You're going to click on create my own. You're going to click for me and my friends, and then you can name this whatever you want, and then you can just click on create. Now you're going to want to make a text channel, or you can just use this general one that was already created right when we made the server. We're going to click on this settings icon right here. We're going to go to integrations. We're going to click on create webhook, and then we're going to click on this. You can give it whatever name you want. You can also put in a profile picture, and then you're going to click on copy webhook URL. Now what you're going to want to do is open the bot back up, and you're simply just going to paste this right into here, and then you can click on this test button. Now we can see that Stellar sent us a test message. So this is how we know our webhook is properly set up. And once again, whenever you get a checkout or a successful purchase on the bot, it's going to be sending you a message right here with all of the information about that checkout. You can also paste that same webhook into this monitor webhook section here. More or less, it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to send you notifications about some different alerts for the bot. And then what I would do is I would select this send on failure button, because that's going to let you know if you have a failure or a payment decline, which is pretty useful information to typically know. And then if you're from Europe, you can select this 3D secure. And then hide proxy, I typically wouldn't do this because you want to know what proxy you were able to check out with so you can use that to refine your setup. So that's pretty much going to wrap up everything that we're going to be doing within the settings tab. I know it was not a lot at all, but that's really all that you need. And so the next tab we're going to be taking a look at is going to be the tasks tab. What I'm going to do is give a high level overview of how these tasks work and kind of how these bots are working in general, so you can have a better understanding of just the entire process. And then we're going to dive in and we're going to go through all the details one by one. So the easiest way to think about a task is that it's essentially just like a Chrome browser on your computer. So when you run one task on your bot, that's the equivalent to you opening up a Chrome browser on your computer, going onto a website and just trying to check out whatever product you want, just like you normally would be doing. So if we end up running 10 tasks on our bot, this is the equivalent to us opening up 10 separate Chrome browsers all at the same time on our computer, going onto a website and simultaneously trying to check out the product. Obviously, it's pretty impossible to be controlling 10 Chrome browsers all at the same time, and that's the reason why we run our bots in the first place. You're basically running mass browsers onto a website, and all of them at the same exact time are trying to check out whatever product you instructed it to. The next thing to keep in mind is that when you're trying to check out limited products on a website, Most websites don't like when one person is trying to check out 10 of the same item. And a lot of the times they'll try to limit you to one order per person and they'll just cancel the rest of your orders. Obviously, if we're buying a bot in the first place, we are trying to get as many items as we can. And this one order or this one limit per person, it's not going to fly. So for every time we want to be checking out the same item multiple times on the same website, what we need to do to get around this is use unique billing and unique shipping information for each one of those checkouts. This is where something called profiles come into play. So for every task or for every browser you're running onto the website, you're going to assign each one of those tasks a unique profile that is going to have different billing and different shipping information on it. So when your tasks are trying to check out the same product multiple times on the same website, they'll all be using different information, so you'll have a much lower chance of getting your orders canceled. Hopefully that's starting to make sense, but if it's not clicking just yet, don't worry, we're about to hop into everything right now. For the rest of this video, we're gonna be pretending like we're setting up the bot to be ran on a drop that's gonna be happening on Best Buy. And keep in mind, the overall process of using profiles and proxies and tasks is gonna be similar, but the actual setup for each individual website is going to be different. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be creating individual tutorials for all of the major sites that Stellar supports and the exact way to set all of them up. It's going to be for Walmart, Best Buy, and every major site, Pokemon Center. And so make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on those when they do release. So the first thing we're going to need to do to successfully start setting up our bot is go into the Profiles tab. And as you can see, I already have some profiles made. And the first thing we're going to need to do in here is we're going to need to make a new profile group. And so you can click on this little plus icon right here, and I'm just gonna make a completely fresh Best Buy group. You can click on add, and that is going to go right here. So if we click on it, we can see that this is our new profile group. And now we need to add a profile into it. So we're gonna click on add profile, and this is where you're gonna be inserting all of your billing and all of your shipping information. So when you're running the bot, it knows which information to use when checking out on your products. So I'm just gonna whip up a quick fake profile right here, and we're just gonna name it Best Buy. Typically I like to do Best Buy 1, and then the next profile, 2, 3, 4, etc. So we just got everything filled out, and the last tab here is billing address, same as shipping address. In most cases, for most of my profiles, these always do match. So I'm just gonna select this, and then I'm gonna click on save. And as you can see, our first profile was successfully made. So now we're gonna create another profile, and remember that the best practice for these profiles and not getting your orders canceled when trying to get multiple of the same item is going to be using all unique information. If you're thinking to yourself, well, I only have one address and I only have one card number to be using, don't worry. For addresses, you can use something called jigging, which is basically a way to slightly change your address in a way where the website won't detect it, but it'll still get delivered to your normal house without any issues. I have a video on this and I'll be linking it down in the description below. And when it comes to having multiple card numbers, you can use something called virtual credit cards. Once again, I have a video on this. They are complete tutorials that'll show you everything you need to know, and they will be linked down in the description below. So now I'm gonna add in another profile. I'm gonna name it Best Buy 2. And remember that we're gonna be making this unique from the first profile that we just made. So now we've created our second profile. And once again, this is the information that the bot is gonna be using to check out on the website. So for example, whatever address or card number you typed into, let's say profile 1, the task that has this profile assigned to it, or the browser that is going onto the website that has this profile assigned to it, is going to be using this exact information when trying to check out. Hopefully that's starting to make sense, but just stick with me until the end because it's all gonna tie together, and I promise you're gonna get it. The next tab we're gonna be going over is going to be identities, and in other words, this is just gonna be your accounts. For most major websites, when you're trying to check out limited edition items, they're most likely gonna require you to be logged into an account. As a quick side note, I highly recommend whatever email you made your account with, you also use that same email when you're creating your profiles so that they match up nicely. So whatever email you use to create the account for, let's say, bestbuy.com, you want that account to also be matching up with the profile, and they should be using the same email. So under this identities tab, we're gonna be clicking on sessions, and you can also click on accounts. And these are pretty much going to be the exact same thing. It's just going to be your accounts. and we can click on Best Buy. And now this is where we're going to be adding in our username and our password for our Best Buy accounts. So we can give this session a name. We'll just say Best Buy 1. We can put in the account email. We can type in the account password. And in terms of login proxy, to keep it short and sweet, I personally do not use one, but like I said, I'm going to be making individual tutorials for Best Buy and for all of the sites on Stellar. So we're not going to be putting in a login proxy and a tax exempt number. I'm assuming most people watching probably don't have this, and that's totally fine. So then we're just going to click on save. And now that is our first Best Buy account that is added into the bot. Also, as a quick reminder, if you need immediate help from some of the best botters in the entire world, I would highly recommend joining our group. You can come check it out. It's completely free. It'll be that first link down in the description below, and we'll be able to give you one-on-one help with whatever you need. So we added in this single Best Buy account, but let's say that you already have 10 accounts or 20 accounts made. An easy way to add them in is going to be this mass import sessions button. And basically you just follow this format right here. So email, semicolon, password, semicolon, login IP, and tax exempt number if you're going to be using those last two. But for most people, I would just recommend doing email and then password, type them all in a list like this. And then you're just going to click on save. Besides for adding in our accounts, there's another important tab that we need to take a look at under sessions, which is going to be called IMAP. And this is going to be different from everything else that we're seeing on this list, as this isn't an actual account that we're going to be inserting into the bot. This part is going to get a little bit technical, but just bear with me. You should understand it by the end of this section. So when you're logging in or when you're checking out on a website such as Best Buy, they'll usually send you some kind of verification code to your email, and you'll basically just have to copy that code from your email and then paste it into Best Buy's verification on their website so you're able to log in or you're able to check out whatever item you're going for. It's basically the same thing as two-factor authentication. Now what this IMAP feature does with Stellar is it basically gives Stellar access to your email account. And for most of the time, you're going to be using Gmail. So when you're setting up IMAP, Stellar is now going to have access to your Gmail. So whenever Best Buy or whenever a site sends you a verification code, what Stellar is going to constantly be doing is scanning your entire email, looking for these verification codes. So when you're running for a drop, and let's say that you have 10 verification codes all coming in at the same time, Stellar is automatically going to take those codes and paste them into the verification so you won't have to touch a thing. So this is super, super important to set up, and Stellar does have instructions on how to do this within their guide, but there's honestly some tips and tricks for how to do this in the most effective and kind of convenient way possible. And I'm not going to have time to get into it within this video. So once again, I will be creating a separate video for IMAP, and when it's ready, it'll be linked down in the description below. If you just want to get this done on, let's say, your main Gmail account, so you are set up and ready to go for a drop, then I recommend just following the instructions in their guide. And just as a quick example, we're going to click on IMAP right here. We're going to click on Add Session. And then we can just say IMAP Gmail account X. Host, I would only recommend using Gmail. It definitely works the best. And then this is going to be the name of your Gmail account, just your email address. And then this isn't going to be the password of your Gmail account. This is going to be the app password that if you're reading through the guides on how to do IMAP, this is going to be the app password, not the actual password to your account. So we can just click on save, and now your IMAP is going to be set up. The next tab we're going to be taking a look at is going to be proxies. If you have no idea what a proxy is or how it works, I'm not going to have time to explain that in this video. Once again, I have a complete tutorial and it's going to be linked down in the description below. If you do already know what proxies are and you are looking for some good recommendations that are guaranteed to work well, we are always posting the best ones that myself and my entire team is using in our group. So once you have your proxy list, you're going to want to create a new proxy group, and we're just going to call this proxy list 1. We're going to click on add. We're going to open this up, and then you're going to click on manage proxies, and then you're just going to paste in your entire proxy list right here. And then you're going to click on save. And now you should see every single proxy that you have. And you are able to test these. So for example, you can click on Google and you can click on test. Obviously, this isn't going to work because it's not a real proxy. I would recommend testing maybe a couple of your proxies, but you don't want to go onto like Amazon or Target and test every single proxy at the same time. It's just not really a good practice. So I would recommend staying away from just testing all of your proxies at the same exact time. So at this point in the video, it might not seem like it, but we have put together all of the pieces of the puzzle to successfully start setting up our tasks and be able to run the bot. We set up our profiles, which is going to have our billing and our shipping information. We set up our accounts, so we're able to successfully log in and be able to check out limited items on that specific website. And we also set up our proxies, which are going to be used to basically change our IP addresses and make us look unique to the website so we don't get banned. So now we're going to be going over to the tasks tab, and we're going to be setting up our tasks just like we're going to be running for a drop. So we're just going to keep the Best Buy drop example going. So we're going to click on this plus icon right here. We're going to click on Best Buy, and then we're just going to give it a name, and we're going to click on add. So this top one is going to be the overall website that we're running on, and then this is going to be the task group that we're going to be setting up right now. So now all we're going to want to do is we're going to click on create task. With Stellar, there are two main types of tasks that we're going to be running depending on the website. And so the first task is going to be called something called monitor tasks, and the second is going to be checkout tasks. And so I'm going to create some very quick examples just so you can see how they work, and then we're going to go back and set these up in detail. So let's just say we want it to be running for the Destin Rivals booster box on Best Buy. And so I just created a monitor task, and then I also created a checkout task. And so how this works is the monitor task is just going to be monitoring this product page right here. This task is literally sitting on this page right now, and it is waiting for this item to come back into stock. And so as you could see, it says out of stock, and then I set it to every 10 seconds, refresh and look for the product to come back into stock. So let's wait. You'll see it refresh in a second, monitoring out of stock. So that's a monitor task. That is not going to be checking out an item at all. That is simply there to look at whatever product you're running for and alert this other checkout task when that product comes into stock. So let's say that these Destin Rival booster boxes just restocked. What's going to happen is that this is going to ping and it's going to say back in stock, and then this task is automatically going to start. And so a monitor task is basically going to send an alert to this actual checkout task, which has your profile and all of your billing and shipping information on it, to start and then go and try to check out that product. So hopefully that makes sense. Those are the two different types of tasks that you're mainly going to be running with Stellar. And so now I'm just going to delete these, and I'm just going to go back into create task and just go through a basic setup of how each one works. So we can call this Destin Rivals Booster Monitor. We can select the mode, which is going to be monitor. And once again, I'll be going through all of these specific modes in the Best Buy tutorial, but we can select our profile that we made right here. And then if you want to be using a proxy, which you should be using one on your monitor tasks, then you're just going to select that proxy right here, and then you're going to enter in the SKU. And this is how the bot knows which product to be going for. So if we pull up this Destin Rivals booster box, if we go to the very end of the link, we can see that this is the SKU right here. So we just paste that in. And then monitoring delay, what this is going to be doing is, if you saw my task refreshing, I set it to every 10 seconds. So that's 10,000. And this is somewhat going to depend on which site you're running and how many proxies you're running. But for the most part, you should be able to leave this around like 3,500 to 5,000. So this means that every 5 seconds, this monitor task is going to check the product page of this SKU. And if it comes back into stock, then it's going to alert your checkout tasks. Hopefully that makes sense. The reset delay is going to be the amount of time that this monitor task is going to take to restart once it pings all of your checkout tasks. So I usually like to keep this one pretty low. So let's say that your monitor task picked up the item and it came back into stock. This means that in 1 second after that happens, this monitor task is going to go back to looking for that item. And usually what this is going to be useful for is for a restock of that item, because sometimes something will ping multiple times. For max price, you pretty much always want to be putting this, just because sometimes, for whatever reason, websites will charge more than the actual retail price. And so if this is $160.99, technically you could just put 161 and you'll be good, but usually I like to give a little bit of wiggle room, and so I'll just put 165. And then start time, this is if you wanted to schedule your tasks. Maybe you're not gonna be at your computer or whatever. This is how you schedule them. So we're not gonna do a start time. We're going to click on create, and now we have officially made our first monitor task. So now if we go ahead and start this, this is going to be monitoring this product page right here, waiting for it to come back into stock. And so now we actually have to create our checkout task that's going to actually be checking out the item. So we can just do, the name of this can be like Destin Rivals Booster Box Checkout. Names don't really matter. And then for these in specific, they are going to be a shipping item. So then we can select our profile that we're going to be checking out with. We can just select both of them. For the proxy, you want to be selecting your proxy here. For the SKU, once again, we're going to be putting in the SKU of the product. A lot of the times on Best Buy, it's going to be quantity 1. So we're going to be putting that in. You would want to select your IMAP session here. And then the main thing that you want to be clicking is going to be watch task. Because if you don't click on watch task, then basically this is not going to be waiting for the monitor task to ping it. And the point of doing this is that you don't want to be burning out your proxies. So if you have a proxy list of, let's just say 100 proxies, and you're running 100 tasks all onto Best Buy's website, and they're all just refreshing and refreshing and refreshing, it's an easy way to burn out your proxy list. And so that's sort of the main reason why we're using monitor tasks in the first place. And so you want to select watch task. So now this checkout task is going to be watching the monitor task. And so now we're just going to click on create. And then once we start these, you're going to see that it's now wanting to log into your account. And then you're going to see that it's initiating login, getting recovery code, and it's currently waiting for the code to unlock the account because I didn't put a real code in there. And so for the purpose of this video, you can see that because we didn't have IMAP set up, it just popped up for us to put in the verification code. And so now we can see that these tasks are now waiting for that monitor to ping. Hopefully that makes sense. I think that should make sense at this point. So now the bot is pretty much set up and ready to go. Your tasks are running, and what would happen is if this monitor pinged that this item was back in stock, these tasks would start and they would go and try to check out that product. So that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I hope that was helpful. I'm going to be creating individual site guides once again. And remember, if you need one-on-one help, be sure to check out my group for free down in the description below. Drop a like on this video if it helped you out. I hope you guys enjoyed. And on that note, I will catch you all on the next one.